So then I tell her the present is inside the house. And it was, because that's where the tree is. And the presents are underneath the tree.
We still haven't put our tree up yet.
Why not?
Pretty late.
Yeah, well, okay. The tree is physically up. It's just not decorated. We haven't done that yet.
Okay, well,
again,
that's
why
different.
not? I don't know. It's Christmas, man. It's like whatever.
It's Christmas in Alabama. The family's not involved.
Yeah, there's not gonna be any snow. It doesn't really feel like Christmas yet.
Yeah.
I mean, there's never going to be any snow on Christmas.
That's not true. There was about 12 years ago, I think.
1 million years ago, there was snow.
Well, yeah, I think it was maybe 11 years ago. It was a while ago, 12 years ago, something like that. We had snow on Christmas Day.
Interesting.
Yeah, I know. Well, where Chris you live, you'll never have snow. Snow does not exist out there.
We've had snow here once, and
45 years ago.
Since I've lived here, and there was rumor that it's supposed to snow next week.
Huh?
Sure.
A rumor.
Right? Yeah.
Yeah. So some guy was saying it, so it's fine.
Well, the meteorologists are saying it, so
Yeah, I don't know about those guys.
Yeah, I may have to run a Christmas one shot next week, so I have to find something that I have not already run.
I have something for you. Let's get to the introductions.
Oh yeah, that's your week.
All right, I'm Grumpy Dungeon Master Christopher, followed by Grumpy Dungeon Master Jay, and Grumpy Dungeon Master Christian, Grumpy Master Dan, and the malevolent, grumpy, evil Mariah Carey.
Oh.
If you go to our D&D our Grumpy Dungeon Master Discord, and you go to our D&D memes, Greg, my cousin, posted something I think that made a round on Reddit, which is Mariah Carey, and it's probably the best version of Mariah Carey as a monster I've seen yet to this day. So in the original Reddit post, the guy who posted this basically, he's like, he wanted to have something a little bit flavorful for having Mariah Carey be the evil person of the encounter. So I'm gonna just go ahead and read through her stat line here real quick.
How did we get to this point that Mariah Carey is apparently a D&D character now?
So Mariah Carey has this special ability where she holds the key to the start of the holiday season. And if she is somehow bested, you can actually delay her from unhatching or being freed from her imprisonment until after the Thanksgiving. Otherwise, she'll come out right after Halloween, because Halloween is powerful enough to hold back Christmas, but Thanksgiving is not. So if you send a bunch of adventurers out to her lair on All Hallows Eve and defeat her, you can delay her from showing up until the Black Friday.
This is how lore is actually created. In 250 years from now, Mariah Carey is going to be America's version of Krampus.
Yeah, it really is sad that there is no Krampus here in America. I do miss it. So anyways, Mariah Carey stat block. She's humanoid, medium, obviously. Any alignment that you want to put her. She has 14 AC due to her natural padding and her dexterity. 8 strength, 15 dex, 17 con, 15 int, 12 wisdom, and 20 charisma. She's skilled in performance. She has resistance to cold and immunity to radiant damage. She's also immune to being deafened. She's a CR8 monster. She has the following traits. Shake it off. If Maria fails a saving throw, she may choose to succeed instead. Vision of love. If Maria is within line of sight of a hostile creature, the creature must succeed a DC 14 wisdom saving throw before it attacks. On a failed save, the creature becomes overwhelmed by her beauty and is compelled to choose a new target. On a successful save, the creature is immune to this effect. And then there's like flavored text for all these, where it says, "My God, she's beautiful." Then she has Heartbroken. When Maria deals psychic damage to a creature charmed by her, she regains hit points equal to half the amount of psychic damage dealt, and the creature is no longer charmed. She's just using you. It's like that. As long as Maria remains conscious and retains 1 hit point, she is compelled to sing "All I Want for Christmas Is You." Maria's singing cannot be silenced by any other means other than a wish spell. Make it stop! She has the following actions. My all. Maria makes 3 attacks. She can substitute obsess for two of these attacks. Touch my body. Melee spell attack. +8 to quote unquote hit. Reach 5 feet. 1 target. 3d6 psychic damage. If the target is charmed by Maria, it takes an additional 2d6 psychic damage. Maria stands before you. It stands before you as you anticipate her attack, but her hands remain at her sides. Instead, you realize it is just your own hands that is reaching out to touch her. Wait, what? It's a wrap. Ranged spell attack. +8 to hit. 1d4 slashing, 2d6 psychic, and the target must exceed a DC 16 strength saving throw or be restrained until the end of turn. A flurry of garlands, glitter, and ribbons overwhelms you, covering your skin in small abrasions as it wraps you into a festive gift for Maria. Obsessed. One creature Maria can see within 30 feet of her must succeed on a DC 16 wisdom saving throw or be magically charmed for 1 minute. While charmed, you can't do charm things. Reaction. Against all odds. When Maria's singing is interrupted by a creature within 60 feet of her speaking the incantation of a spell, she raises her voice to disrupt the offender. The creature must exceed a contested performance check ability against Maria to complete the casting. If the creature fails, it wastes its action but does not lose the spell slot. How dare you interrupt me? Legendary action. Angels Cry.
I'm gonna interrupt you now.
Angels Cry. Maria puts on performative tears, causing the next attack against her to be made at disadvantage. Big Energy costs 2 actions. Maria's bursts out into an energetic dance, moving up to her speed without provoking opportunity attacks. And last attack, Always Be My Baby. Maria touches one creature that is charmed by her or is otherwise willing. The target must make a DC 16 Wisdom saving throw, taking 3d10 plus 5 psychic damage and half on a failed save. She chose me. Now, all those attacks and everything were all her songs that she sung.
Yeah, we know
throughout her career. I didn't know that, but I just found out that to me is one of the best characters that you can have for Christmas.
So there's 2 things that I have to say about this. One, I stopped hearing everything you said when you started calling her Maria and not not Mariah.
Or whatever.
Yeah.
Well, like every time,
put some respect on her name, my man.
Yeah, put some stank on it. And the other thing, can we all agree to never ever sit here and read all of the stats of a monster again?
Nope.
Yeah, it was a bit much.
I read it as fast as I could.
I understood, but like whoever sat at that monster, I mean, for some reason suddenly I'm agreeing to how they're setting monsters in 2024. Holy crap, that was too much.
Yeah,
No way in hell anybody's running that monster and not forgetting something. No way in hell. Too much. I mean,
shit. That's actually quite valid. I've run into that problem quite a bit.
Yeah,
especially with mages. That's why I kind of like how they redesigned the monsters in the 2024 edition, where they moved a lot of the spells into basic attacks. That way I can basically sit there at the table, play a monster that I've never played before, and have a general idea on how they're supposed to feel and attack, because there's like 3 or 4 things that they have. I don't have to remember all the actions and legendary actions.
Yeah, and they mostly did it for stuff that resembled like attacking and damaging type spells.
Yeah.
So it's not, and then you give them a list of utility spells, and it's for that reason. That way, okay, they have a few attacks, but they're all essentially like you have an area effect fire thing, and you might have a single target thing, and those are your kind of quote unquote offensive spells, and then we can give you whatever utility nonsense.
I mean, I don't really care that they dumbed it down by doing that.
I don't think they dumbed it down
because I'm just going to give my monsters a spell list anyway.
So, well, I still use a spell list for like the big monsters, but I don't need every mage to have a spell list or have a unique spell list or the same spell list.
If I'm running a whole bunch of random mages, I'm going to give them a handful of spells that they have in memory. If I'm making a unique one, then yeah, he's going to have an entire spell list of not just 5 spells or whatever.
Yeah, but a lot of times I don't have the time to make up a unique spell list for something. If it's
I'll interject here and say that if it's a generic ass mage, I'm gonna have him go ahead and have his mage armor on. He's going to have a shield, probably 1 or 2 reactions for a shield. If he's higher level, maybe a counterspell or 2. But I don't need a full. So I really actually don't need a full spell list unless I'm actually playing like an archmage or something who's actually going to last more than 2 or 3 rounds. Because a mage is a glass cannon. He will die quickly. You will never get off his entire spell list. So why bother trying to go through what his entire spell list is? And usually, in my experience, any spell list that's been prepared by somebody else is dog shit. It is terrible, terrible. Like a bunch of stuff that would never be used, especially wouldn't be used in combat. It's like people preparing like Charm Person. Really? You're preparing Charm Person? That's what you're gonna prep? Okay, that's useless. Thank you. I mean, there's tons of stuff, and I'd rather just have. Oh yeah, he can basically do the equivalent of a upcast Eldritch Blast, and this is calling like Force Blast or whatever he's calling it. That's fine. But I will say that I haven't seen the 2024 Monster Manual because nobody has yet. But the way that Highmark does it on his monsters is that he puts in parentheses if it's equivalent of a spell. So like you can call it whatever the hell you want. You can call it a Mariah Carey song, but he'll say and it's equivalent of a 7th level spell. That way, if somebody wants to counterspell it, they can, or if they need to spell it, they can. Because when you leave it real vague, then people are like, well, can I counterspell? Well, technically, it's just an action from this guy, and he's just like an arcane blast. I mean, it's not technically a spell.
Yeah, that is the one thing I don't like about the new style.
That's very vague, and that's how they had it when Mordenkainen's Monsters of the Multiverse. It was too vague. So I'm hoping in 2024 they kind of clarify.
So that was their test run for the new style. They pretty much did solidify it with the Eve of Ruin, and I think the new counterspell says if it's a spell attack or if it's a magic attack, and they clarify it through that. That way you can counterspell those types of attacks because they have different D20 tests now that they assign for different things.
Yeah, and but we've already seen through we've already seen through Eve of Ruin that we can't necessarily trust them to make a good spell list. I mean, Vecna didn't even have counterspell or shield.
Like that's a separate issue,
right? Yeah. That's the reason I'm saying I don't care what they've got on there. I'm just going to give them a spell list of my own choice. So
yeah, absolutely. For a big bad, that's any DM worth their salt is going to do that and go over that in and make some notes on it and be like maybe like whenever I have a big bad like that has a lot of crazy actions or a lot of spells, I would like to go through a sample combat of like, hey, here's his first 3 rounds. If he has time to prep, he's casting Greater Invisibility, Mirror Image, and he already has Mage Armor up. But in round 1, he's going to do this. Maybe he'll jump in his Globe of Invulnerability. And then I basically try to write out how I think a combat's going to go before it ever gets there.
Yeah.
Because otherwise, mages are complicated. Mages are very complicated and always have been, which is why they've simplified them. So you just need to prepare for them. But if you have like several mages, I'd rather just have some generic ass stats. That's like he has Force Blast, shield. He has shield twice per day, and he's already got Mage Armor.
Yeah, second and third edition. Anytime they'd write about NPCs, they would always write, "This is how they're going to battle." The first round he's going to cast Mage Armor. Second round he's going to do that. Like they would put that down for every spellcasting NPC,
which is smart.
Yeah. Makes it easier on the game master because you don't have to think about what they're going to do. You already know how that NPC is going to operate.
Yeah,
or how he was intended to run.
Yeah.
Yeah, I fucked up running Manshoon of Darkhold when I ran it. Like it was just too much. I kept forgetting about his sorcerer-like abilities.
I mean, whenever I ran Strahd, I forgot about half his abilities till halfway through. And like, oh, he can just walk through walls. Hold on a second. He's going to hide in this other tomb over here while you guys are busy dealing with minions, and he regenerates.
Yeah.
Absolutely. The problem is when you forget about abilities and you don't remember them till the combat's over, and you're like, he could have gotten out of that. That sucks. It always feels bad. When the combat goes on long enough where you remember them in the middle of the combat, it's like, oh yeah, he has a reaction he should have been taking the last 4 rounds. Whoops. By the
Yeah.
way, he does this.
So like when I ran Strahd for you for the Halloween thing,
Mhm.
like I very easily could have just hit him in the wall, okay, and
Yeah.
waited till all his health came back and then attacked you again. And I have a problem like with that fundamentally as like a game design standpoint, because like I get it, like, but at the same time it's like it's just gonna slow everything
lame.
down,
It's
turn
lame.
into a
It
slog.
is not
it's
exciting at
lame.
all. Yeah, I
Um,
get you.
at the same time, too, like when I was running my Malevolence of Glad Sky Roost, the Owl campaign that I did a while ago, and the Jabberwock is the big bad for the end of that. The big bad, that Jabberwock has that same ability, and so someone actually brought up to me, is like, he's like, your Jabberwock, it was less of a Jabberwock and more of a dragon. And I said, okay, yeah, just go on. And he was like, yeah, it really need to be running around hunting the party for a little bit. He's like, if you could work something in with that, like that would make more sense. And that's where that regenerative ability could come in and actually make sense and actually fuel the conflict with the Jabberwock than just having it fly away for 10 rounds, heal it back up and come right back again,
Right.
So like I've been trying to figure out the best balance for that. Because the Jabberwock does innately have an ability where if he hits you, he can track you, So trying to figure out a way to get there, but still also have that big final showdown where like he loses the regenerative ability and gains maybe more health as a pool or something like that. I don't know. I'm still trying to figure it out, but I haven't found a good answer for that yet.
Yeah. Do we want to talk about secret level?
Yeah, might as well. I went back and watched the. Well, to be fair, we're only talking about the first episode because that's the only D&D one.
Tunnel.
So real quick,
Secret tunnel.
so real quick about secret level, I went on there and looked at they have all the episodes that you could click on to basically get a preview of them. The Concord one is not on that list.
What is
But
Concord one?
But if you go back like a month ago where they had the secret level website, they're handing out prizes, the Concord one is still on that list. The Concord one is...
that's the game that got canceled. Yeah,
it's the game that got canceled. So I'm wondering if they've pulled that episode from
the episode got canceled along with it.
Yeah.
Could be.
So for those who don't know, Secret Level is a project by Amazon where they did a bunch of short style movie show is Love, Death, and Robots. And the first one that they released was for Dungeons and Dragons. And we're going to talk about that one.
Yep. But they're all based off of games or video games of some sort.
Mm-hmm.
So that episode was just bloody amazing.
My only disappointment with it is that it was only 15 minutes.
And it wasn't a whole show.
Yeah.
Yep.
So my wife said the same thing, and that's just a person who plays D&D because I'm big into it. And she was like, I need a whole season of this. It was really good.
My hope is that this is a test, basically, because Dungeons and Dragons is 50 years old. It's an IP that has never fully been utilized in media. We've had a few movies. Only one of them has ever done even remotely well. There's never really been any shows, but Critical Role, which is just a D&D TV cartoon, has done phenomenally well. They're on season 3. There's probably a 4th season, I would think.
Oh, the Vox Machina one?
Yeah, Vox Machina.
Yeah.
So there's no reason that Dungeons and Dragons should not have television shows. They should have movies. It should be a massive media thing. And this little 15-minute short is a proof of concept that this is all you got to do.
Yeah.
I mean, you agree with WotC Corporate that D&D is under-monetized.
I do, in that regard.
Well, some of the things that I saw, I thought about it was that it was really cool. It set up a lot of like things you could jump off of. I saw so many people saying the episode was so great. I got to write a short campaign about it. it used one of the biggest villains that is in D&D.
Oh, and by the way, we are going to have spoilers. Sorry, guys. So
I'm avoiding them for right now.
yeah,
they'll
but
come
we
in a
will have
second.
them.
Yeah, tune out for 15 minutes if you have not seen it, and then come back and revisit the podcast.
Yeah. Go watch it real quick.
Yeah, it won't take long.
The time it takes us to talk about it, the show will be over. So
yeah, just restart the podcast, and by the time we get back to this point, we'll be there.
All right. So all that said, let's just lay it out here. So standard D&D tropes, what they did right, what they did wrong, and what was easily recognizable. We had a Paladin of Torm, Goliath. I think her name was Mora, right?
Yeah.
We had a orc or half orc druidess.
Yep.
Because I think I saw her shape change. We had
druid, yeah.
We had a gnome wizard. Unsure her specialty. Not evocation, I don't think.
Yeah, not evocation.
She obviously wanted to be an evoker, but I don't think she was.
I mean, if you go with the standard gnome trope, she's an illusionist, but who the hell knows?
Right.
She could definitely cast fireball, and that's all that really matters. And we had a Sun Soul dwarf monk,
who was
which
awesome.
I was delighted to see.
I actually he was the one character I want to play.
I was afraid that whenever I realized he was a monk, that he was going to start whipping out some sort of Eastern style. No, he looked like a dwarf practicing martial arts, and it looked actually really well done.
He looked like a bar-brawling dwarf who actually knew how to fight.
Yep, with enough special powers because he was he's a magical monk or whatever.
Yeah, he clearly had some magic going on.
So the second he catches the arrow and throws it back, my wife went, "Oh, he's a monk."
Yeah. Yeah. That was great. So the baddies, the Cult of the Dragon, which have been a bad guy group that has been in existence in Forgotten Realms since first edition, I think.
Yeah, they're old.
They first appeared. Always doing bad things, always pretty much in service to Tiamat, at least since second edition, I think.
Yeah, probably since first, but yeah, at least that long.
Unsure of the actual minions and monsters that came chasing them. I believe it was generic humanoid bad guy minions and a lich.
Yes. Yeah, it was definitely a lich.
And there was some sort of bat-winged monster with almost a bat-like face that was huge, but I'm not really sure what that was. I thought initially it was an Abiyashi, which is a demon or a devil that is in service to her, but those more roughly look like draconians, I think.
They do. They look like dragon men, basically.
Yeah.
Big dragon men.
I brought that up with my wife as well too, giving an outside impression for that, and she goes, "That's just a giant bat." I was like, "All right."
Maybe it wouldn't have been a werebat.
No.
I've seen.
I mean, Shelley may be right. It might just be like a dire bat or something.
Could have been. Yeah. Could have been a dire bat, maybe.
We're here.
It died like a chump. So it wasn't anything great.
We're here overthinking it, and she's like, "It's just a bat, dude. Get over it."
Yeah. It looks like a bat, flies like a bat. It's just a big bat. And of course, they save some kid who has been possessed by the spirit of like an aspect of Tiamat for quite some time.
Mm-hmm.
Gets then taken on by a gold dragon named Oriel, I believe.
Yep.
And turns out that kid's like a super cleric and somehow manages to protect the party from a breath weapon from Tiamat, which is pretty cool. But part of me at the end of this, like, because they make a funny comment about, because they made a comment earlier, like, well, we should have had a cleric, and it's like, oh, now we have our cleric, and I was like, holy shit, this is just like the DM's little brother wanting to join the game, but he said, no, man, you got to be a cleric, but I'm gonna make it really cool when you join the game.
Yeah.
Yeah, I could see that.
Like, because it's only like a 15-minute thing, so like this literally could be the beginning of a game. Like, okay, you guys were attacking like this camp that has the Cult of the Dragon members, and you see a kid in a cage. What do you guys do? And Paladin's like, oh, of course I'm going to save the kid. Now it's a rescue mission.
All right, so you take the kid back to your gold dragon. Yeah, it's definitely like a brand new DM running his own thing for the first time.
Sure, I mean, because who else puts in Tiamat in their first game.
The
Yeah.
Dungeon Master.
Yeah.
It
Yeah.
is very, very on brand to have the party's first mission be against Tiamat.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
So I will say the thing that I like most about this show, is Lehman's tiny hut.
Oh yeah, that was great too. Yeah.
I saw that in the distance. The first time I watched it, I was like, that is amazing. I was like, that finally shows people that it's not like a hut made of straw. It's a globe. It's a dome of just energies that you can't see into. And even my wife was like, is that Lehman's tiny hut? And I was like, yeah, it is. We kind of like cheered. It was great.
Yeah.
I was happy to see Wind Wall actually get cast.
Oh yeah.
I love that spell, but it's really underutilized. And
I mean, it's real situational. It's really situational.
I mean, not particularly because it's a damaging spell. You cast it, and anything that you cast it on takes damage. So it has a use immediately right there.
Yeah, but it's not fireball.
Yeah, it's not fireball. That's all. But it was a druid that cast it, not a wizard. So
That's true. It's true.
I did like the greater polymorph that he used on the Lich, turning it into a slug.
yeah, that was one of my things that I didn't. I was like, did the Lich just forget he had legendary resist? Yeah. If you start nitpicking it and thinking everything in D&D actual stats and terms, it's not going to work because that gnome did not cast Burning Hands, but it wasn't Fireball. I don't know what the gnome cast.
No, I
After Scorcher.
Maybe it might have been. Yeah.
I could see it
do
being
enough damage in
Fireball.
5e, but
Yeah.
I could see it being fireball or a very high upcast Burning Hands.
But Burning Hands doesn't get more distance.
Well,
Yeah.
maybe she got a little couple of the sorcerer in there.
Maybe, yeah.
Um,
doubles the range.
Yeah, it being fireball kind of made sense. But it was more of a cone attack. But like you say, you can't nitpick it the most. When we watched it the second time, we watched it on our TV in the living room, and we have closed captions on. And one of the cool parts is that if you watch with closed captions on, when the gold dragon is basically succumbing to the curse that he took from the kid, you can hear. Well, you can't hear, but the closed caption show says Tiamat's like something along the lines of like, any dragon is the gateway.
Yeah.
I need.
Yeah, I saw that too.
Yeah, so like that's kind of cool how they played up the curse. Like, hey, you did everything right as a player. But I still got the results I wanted.
You couldn't have possibly known this. You can do everything right, but you can still lose in the end. Yeah.
Yep.
So I do have like a meta question as whether or not you guys think that that was the actual Tiamat or was that an avatar?
Avatar. Yeah.
Aspect or avatar. Yeah.
Yeah.
Definitely wasn't.
I definitely think it was
even
an
the
avatar.
most novice DM making it throw the real deal out there. Also, there's no stats for her in 5e.
Yep. There was also a couple of
intentionally.
There were a couple of interesting moments where you could see somebody make a skill check and succeed. So, like the dwarf, where he explains that the kid was being prepped for sacrifice to the cult of the dragon, and then with the druid, when Tiamat first shows up, and the wizard's like, "That's a really big dragon," and the druid's like, "Tiamat."
Yeah, exactly.
He made that lore check to know who Tiamat is.
It's like, hold on a second. Do I know who this guy is? Because I know how to play who this guy is, Jay. Yeah, it's Tiamat. It's definitely Tiamat. Yeah, I want you to know it's Tiamat.
No, but like it was really good. The only thing that kind of weirded me out is when I watched it the first time by myself. The gnome's proportions were just weird, but they were accurate, and it just seemed wonky. But watching it on a bigger screen, it looked fine. So like I said, I want to see movies like this. I want to see more shows about this. I want to see more of this. Like a lot of the secret level stuff, like, you could take it and give me a whole season of it, but the D&D stuff in particular was one of the best of the bunch that have come out so far.
Because more come out on Tuesday, right?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Good.
Because it was like 8 episodes for the first drop, and I think probably another 8 for the next one. But one thing one complaint I do have for the D&D episode, and also the rest of them, for the most part, they're too dark. Like, they're hard to see. Like, if you're not watching in a dark room, it's very
Yeah.
difficult to see what's going on.
I had to turn off the light on the D&D one because of that.
I think a lot of that is just
Yeah.
the quick turnaround they probably had during production time. The darker it is, the easier it is to hide how fake it is. So if you were to turn up the brightness, it'd be too apparent.
Maybe.
I mean, I've been watching a lot of Quarter Crew, and that's like, if something's too dark, it's because the CGI won't hold up in a brighter scene. With more money and around through a whole production, it would be fine. But it still looked great, like when the Stone Goliath got stabbed, and the spells to heal, all that stuff like that. Like, it was all there.
But the cost of production of a cartoon TV show of Dungeons and Dragons would be a fraction of the cost of that movie that was put out, and probably make as much money or close to it. So
see, I don't know, because like when you get to a bigger, brighter animated thing, and you have to basically put out all the production power. You look at the cost of like making a Moana 2 or like a Super Mario Bros.
Yeah, but it doesn't have to be that. Like, we're talking, make it like Critical Role. It's a cartoon.
Yeah. I think if you make it a cartoon, I think there's going to be a lot of people who will brush it off because it's a cartoon. But if you make it a CG film, like what Secret Level is, the more outside non-D&D people would actually watch it. The second you make it a cartoon, people associate it with Looney Tunes. That's still ingrained in a lot of people's idea.
I don't know. I don't know about that. You look at stuff
Yes.
like the like Castlevania show on Netflix, which is a cartoon, but
no, I agree with you. The stuff is great, but those get low ratings. Like, I'm actually really interested in how well that Lord of the Rings movie that just came out is going to do. Because if that's successful, that shows that there's a turnaround from what I was just talking about.
Well, is that at the theater? Or is it on a?
It's in the theater right now.
See, that's not the way to go. That's not the way to go, because that's going to require a much higher cost.
Yeah.
Like one episode, I looked it up. One episode of Vox Machina takes roughly $750,000 to make.
Holy crap!
Yeah,
that's a lot.
That is a lot. You could probably do it for less than that. But so you're looking at $10 million to make a season of a show, probably. You could definitely do it. A movie, to make a movie, you're talking double that at least, if not a lot more. A live action one will cost you, $50 million, or it's going to cost
Season 8 of Arcane cost $250 million.
That is an exception.
That is one of the rare exceptions.
Yes, it is.
It's got to be done good. It's got to be done at that level for other people to
no one
really
else is doing it at that level. No one. The only reason they threw it at that, because they didn't have anybody they were answering to. Man, they didn't have somebody a budget department saying, "Yeah, you know what? We need to do this for cheaper, so we're going to send it over here." And they found the animators they wanted, they found the voice actors they wanted, and they paid them. And they took their sweet time to come out with the second season because they want to do it right.
And so they did all the cocaine.
Yeah, sure.
Honor Among Thieves, $150 million is what it cost.
So Honor Among Thieves, with real actors, cost $100 million less than a season of Arcane. That's insane. That is insane to me.
It is. Like that.
Okay. Both seasons of Arcane cost around $250 million.
Yeah.
Which is
combined.
Total. That's obscene. That's still obscene for any cartoon. Was the show fantastic? Absolutely.
Granted, 18 hours of cartoon and voice acting.
Yeah, but it shouldn't have cost that much. Yeah, you can do cartoons way cheaper, just like I said, Vox Machina.
Yeah.
So for $10 million, they could put out a D&D show that would be really good.
Hopefully, how much? Can you look up how much the Daffy Duck Porky Pig movie cost to make?
I don't know. When was the last one made?
It's coming out in like 2 months.
Oh, so there's actually a current one.
There's a 2D animated Daffy Duck Porky Pig. Daffy Duck Saves the World or some shit like that.
Okay, I could look.
Yeah, look.
Warner Brothers taking a risk.
The day the Earth blew up. Okay.
Yeah, the day the Earth blew up. There you go. Um,
I
it
didn't
looks
even know about it.
fantastic. It's right up our alley from how we grew up as kids, you know.
It's likely to be in the range. This is just a very quick the AI overview between
Right.
50 to 80 million.
Okay.
They're just throwing money away. I'm sorry, that's just ridiculous.
I don't know. I want to see that movie. It looks hilarious.
It might be. It may be fantastic, but it doesn't take 50 to 80 million dollars to
Yes,
make
it
an
does.
animated film.
Yes, it
But
does.
once again, we already looked up Vox Machina. Fraction of that.
No, you can't compare that level of quality to a movie level of quality. They're different worlds. The computing power alone is probably 3 times the size.
My point is, if I'm sitting down to watch something, if it looks as good as Vox Machina did, I'm happy with it. Is it as perfectly animated as Arcane? No. Am I enjoying it? Absolutely.
Right. It just shows that you
have
can enjoy that, but the broader audience is not going to sit down and watch something that's just meh animated. They have to be amazed and shown pretty lights and colors that inspire them to continue to sit there and watch it. Or else they're going to get up and walk away. That Daffy Porky Pig movie is a huge risk, but it's probably going to pay off pretty well.
I'm trying to figure out who's been or how many people are watching shows.
I mean, that's hard to figure out nowadays.
I know it is.
Because I can guarantee you that the amount of people that watch Arcane is nowhere near the amount of people, or it is far and above the amount of people that watched Vox Machina. It's easier to find. It's on Netflix, which more people have, and all that thing.
Yeah, it's hard to obviously it's very difficult to come up with these kind of numbers.
Yeah.
Arcane was viewed 34 million times in the first 6 days, so it was like number 1 on Netflix. So it did incredibly well.
Yeah, and I can guarantee you that Vox Machina probably got that in total now, not in the first 6 days.
Sure, because it's a much. Let's see, most episodes of Vox Machina get about 1 million views on YouTube and video on demand. So 34 million. So yeah, I mean, you're also looking at there's less people that have Amazon Prime than have Netflix for viewing stuff. So,
but the more money you put behind the animation and the show and making it look good, the more people are going to get out there and watch it. That's why I said I'm very interested in how the Lord of the Rings one comes out, and I'm very interested in how the Daffy Duck Porky Pig one comes out.
Because the Lord of the Rings thing, I think once it hits streaming, I think everyone's going to watch it.
Yeah, and just like the D&D movie, which did fantastic in streaming, but wasn't a critical success in the theaters.
Mm-hmm.
You know, how studios don't really care how good it does when it's streaming. You know, they need to see the big turnover. So maybe this is a test for them with Secret Level to do a D&D show.
That's what I hope.
I just think it can't be drawn like Vox Machina. It has to be done more like a high production film for it to turn around.
Look, 10 million to do a show is very, very low. You know, but the point is you can do one that cheaply. Would I think that WotC would, or whoever would do the D&D would spend that low of a budget? Absolutely not. I would expect it to be much more expensive than that.
You got to pay all the cocaine for the producers.
That's right. It's Hollywood. Want to get high? Anyway, the Secret Level episode, really good, really short. We need more of it.
And if you'd left to go watch the Secret Level episode, you're probably done with it now. And you're back.
Yeah, now we're done with all the spoilers and the ranting about they should make a show.
Yep.
My wife loved the Arnold episode. She thought that was the best one.
Oh my god, it was pretty funny.
It was.
Yeah, I still need to watch the Warhammer one.
That's another thing too. Like you can look at all the Warhammer stuff and as much money as they throw behind that, but it's all behind that secret paywall that no one knows of.
Yep. Yeah, we were talking about it the other day, and I only found out that was even a website like a year or two ago. I didn't even know that you could just watch Warhammer stuff. I didn't know they made Warhammer movies.
Oh, Warhammer's weird little like subscription service thing.
Yeah. That no one knows about.
sure they have a very faithful, like 40,000 people.
Probably in total. Yep.
See what I did there?
I see what you did there. That's pretty good, Dan.
Thanks. Yeah, I don't. I have enough streaming services. Certainly not going to get another one.
Oh no.
Yeah.
I have 3 that I consistently keep, and then others that I'll pick up for 1 month here and there.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I used to not count Amazon Prime as a streaming service because it was just bundled in with my usage of Amazon Prime. But now that fucking you have to pay extra to not get ads, I'm
I just pay
irritated.
the extra. It's like a couple of bucks.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
I don't watch enough on Amazon Prime to make it matter.
Yo
Oh my god, I was pissed
I
off.
do.
I think I pay the extra on Peacock also for pro wrestling. We were watching a live pro wrestling thing this weekend. They did Saturday Night Main Event, and they had commercials. Why? I think I paid you people to not have to watch fucking commercials, and now I'm having to watch commercials. So
Yeah, it doesn't count on live events.
yeah, I figured that out. Not happy about that. So.
Yep, I
My-
feel the same thing. I've tried to watch, college football and stuff, and even though I pay for the services with no ads, you will get advertisements on live
Mhm.
sports.
Yeah, my daughter, the first time she was watching something and a commercial popped up, she was so confused and bewildered by what was happening. We had to explain to her that it wasn't like streaming services that she was used to, that the normal television, normal live events all have ads. She's
Mhm.
like, why? Why do you need to do that?
Yeah. Kids these days, get off my lawn.
So spoiled.
Yeah. All right, so let's talk about Mistel's. I think it's Mistel's Marvelous Pigments. So I have it pulled up on D&D Beyond, and it's just Marvelous Pigments because I guess
Nolzur's Marvelous Pigments.
sure. Nolzer? Okay.
Nolzer.
That
Yeah,
still
get it
doesn't sound
right.
right.
Hold up to the proper pronunciation of their name. Why would you ever do something like that?
Okay, Maria.
Oh, Maria!
All right, so I am going to read what this thing does. Wondrous item, and it's very rare. Typically found in 1 to 4 pots inside of a wooden box with a brush weighing 1 pound in total. The pigments allow you to create 3-dimensional objects by painting them in 2 dimensions. So, what happens if you're actually really good at painting and can do 3 dimensions? The paint flows from the brush to form the desired object as you concentrate on its image. Each pot of paint is sufficient to cover 1,000 square feet of a surface, which lets you create inanimate objects or terrain features such as a door, a pit, flowers, trees, cells, rooms, weapons that are up to 10,000 cubic feet. It takes 10 minutes to cover 100 square feet. When you complete the painting, the object or terrain feature depicted becomes a real non-magical object. Thus, painting a door on a wall creates an actual door that can be opened to whatever is beyond. Painting a pit on a floor creates a real pit, and its depth counts against the total area of objects you create. Nothing created by the pigments can have a value more than 25 gold. If you paint one of greater value, it looks authentic, but upon close inspection, reveals it's made from paste, bone, or some other worthless material. If you paint a form of energy, such as fire or lightning, the energy appears but dissipates as soon as you complete it, doing no harm to anything. Have any of you ever used this item?
Nope.
No.
Yes,
Oh, I gotta hear this. Do you remember how it was used?
it was in an Undermountain campaign that I was running in, but it wasn't in 5th edition. It was back in, because this has been a Magic item for forever.
Yeah, I remember it from 2nd edition.
Yeah, and that's what it was in, and they used it basically like to be for. They only had a small amount. I think he had enough for I gave him enough for 3 uses, and they used it to paint a bridge and paint. They basically became cartoon characters for a couple of times.
Yeah, I hear this. I hear of this object, and I always think of the old Bugs Bunny or Roadrunner cartoons, where Wile E. Coyote would paint the thing on the wall.
They
The
painted a
Roadrunner
bridge
runs
once
through
to get across somewhere, and then they did in fact paint an anvil in midair to fall on someone.
Oh my god, that's so good. Yeah, like this.
And then they also painted a pit on the ground.
like it's totally one of the most busted items in D&D if you're creative with its usage. Because you could do what you're talking about, you could draw like or paint a covered pit in a doorway for things to walk into. You just mentioned the anvil idea. Like, that's horrific. But just having something like this, oh, I don't have rope on me. Well, let's make some rope. Oh, I don't have this thing on me. Let's make this thing I need a ladder, need a 10-foot pole. Like,
How does it evaluate the cost of an item?
it's obviously sort of generic, but nothing greater than a 25 gold piece value. So you're not going to be able to make a gem that's worth more, that you would value it more than 25 gold. But you could make 25.
Essentially, what I did when they wanted to do a bridge, I was like, well, you can't do like an elaborate, sturdy, great bridge because that would be too much. So they made like an Indiana Jones style like rope bridge with the like unsturdy planks just to get across.
Mm-hmm.
And then the doors just door in the pit. It's just a pit trap. It's not a thing of value.
Now here's the interesting thing. So 10,000 cubic square feet. How many 1 gold pieces could you paint in 10,000 cubic feet?
Apparently only 25 because you can only make it worth 25 gold.
That's fair. That's a good ruling on that.
That's not where my mind was going. My mind was going to something like illegal substances, like cocaine. Okay,
Sure.
like, or some other substance of like the materials for it don't add up to 25 gold worth of things, but it can make a product that is thousands of gold. So is it an economic 25 gold, or is it just like a material cost?
And
like,
this is one that's going to give the damn DM nightmares, because it says nothing created by the pigments can have a value greater than 25 gold pieces. So if I made 2 long swords or whatever, that's effectively the entire value of 25 gold. So you can't ever make any physical objects with any monetary value if that's the way you set it.
Yep.
But if you don't, if you're not being that literal, then you could effectively fill up 10,000 cubic feet just drawing long swords to arm your army for free, basically.
So if I wanted to have, let's say, a beef Wellington made by Gordon Ramsay versus a beef Wellington made by Guy Fieri, one's going to be more of a gold value than the other. So how many beef Wellingtons from each could I draw out?
0. Definitely more than a 25 gold piece experience.
Yeah. Yeah. that beef Wellington is actually chicken.
Yeah.
Yeah, like it says it's made from some other material.
It's just Play-Doh. It's a kid's idea of what beef Wellington is made with Play-Doh.
Yeah.
Yeah,
that's where my mind went.
I love the idea of this object. I really would like to find it
in
game at some point.
There was, I want to say, somebody in another game that I was in had a 1 use of it, and they created, because it was, you can create that huge like cubic volume of it, and they just drew water, just water.
Yeah, how much does water cost?
I mean, water is effectively free.
They did it to flood out and basically, flood a group of enemies instead of having to fight them.
Yep. Yeah, I mean, you could definitely draw something horrific like on the roof of a room or something or other, and as the bad guys walk in, you finish the 10,000 cubic feet painting that you were in the process of.
So if I wanted to paint 10,000 cubic feet of lava, that would be allowed because lava is inherently worthless because it's a natural substance.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. If you really want to break a game, man, this is the item to do it with. But you only get a limited amount of uses of it, so
I think I only need 1 with 10,000 cubic feet of lava. I'm pretty sure whatever I want to kill is dead.
Yeah, sorry, it was immune to fire.
Yeah, and you're also assuming you have the amount of time.
Yeah.
I mean, if
you're in the lava.
Yeah, and that. So
there's no way you're painting that much of it without being right there.
Look at the brushes in the picture on D&D Beyond. Now, imagine how long it's going to take you to paint 10,000 feet. with one of those tiny ass little brushes.
Well, does it have to
Good
be
luck.
10,000 connected feet?
I mean, it has to be a completed painting.
If they're not
Okay.
connected, it's each a separate use essentially.
Okay.
Mhm.
So if you're trying to like space it out, you would create one, and then because you complete the painting, it's done, and now you're on to a new use of the pigments. So
I'm pretty sure I could think of a way around it. I just need a little bit of time.
It's like a wish spell in a box.
yeah, it's one of those things. I mean, you can think of a lot of weird stuff, but this is one of those items that always the DM gets the final say in of, can I do this? Well, that's up to the DM.
So the way I'm kind of picturing is like maybe you paint it all out, and then you get someone to hold up the banner, and then you do that last brush stroke to make it happen, and then have it just trigger at that point in time, and then like something happens. You know,
Yeah.
I'm sure I could find a way around your logic.
No, that's the thing.
Logic.
You can't.
Yeah, as the DM, he can still just say you're wrong. He's right.
Yep.
Moving on.
But the bees attack in a swarm.
Yeah, they attack you.
Yeah, I guess it has to be non-living items.
Yeah.
I probably read that somewhere. Yeah, inanimate. Okay.
So is a fried chicken an inanimate object? Or
You could decorate your house with it. Just make some lamps. Yeah. Nice rug. Except rug's, really cheap. It's not actually made out of what it would be made out of, but it looks good.
Yeah, I did play in one game where the DM basically treated those things like a wish spell, so that whatever you said you were going to paint, they were going to twist, and it was more like a cursed magic item, because whatever you painted, like the outcome was you were going to get what you painted, but somehow it was going to twist on you and be horrific.
Yep.
as God intended.
Yes.
I remember years ago, a friend of mine was running Dresden Files role-playing game in the Fate system, and that was the only time I've ever played the Fate system and absolutely hated it. But I love the Dresden Files, so I was playing the game anyway. And the character I had created had the ability to basically, his power was that he could turn paintings into real life. And naturally the character had shitloads of money, so he had lots of really old art, so I'd basically get into situations where I could pull like a angel out of a piece of paper, make it fight for me, shit like that. But anyway,
Yeah.
Okay.
it's kind of like the Marvelous Pigments, but it was a power.
It's a neat item. It's best when you're trying to. It's at its best when you're facilitating creativity for players to solve solutions and not be Waples and like, I'm going to try to break the game because why would I not try to be obnoxious? Like when you get people that actually want to be like, how can I do this to do something cool, as opposed to something deliberately trying to just crack the game open.
Yeah, I
Listen,
think
there's a reason I play just the dumb brutes, because I don't want to think.
the most
But
common
when I start
usage for it.
thinking, bad things happen.
Yep, his brain starts to bleed.
Checks out.
Most
Yeah.
common usage for the pigments is obviously just to paint a door on a wall to get into an area you couldn't reach or something like that.
Yeah, so
Yeah.
you paint a door and a bait.
Always a great use of it, or to get away from an area.
Yeah.
Escape a combat.
Yes,
I don't
we'll
know.
we'll paint a parachute. All right. Does anybody else have other topics? Otherwise, we're talking about the reverse centaur.
I've been
Let's
dreading this
hard
day.
up.
Solasta 2.
Oh, yeah,
yes.
Solasta too, thank God.
Yeah, let's do that one. Even I'm trying to avoid talking about the reverse centaur.
It's your goddamn idea.
It was actually my buddy Mike's idea. Yet here
I
we are. But
swear,
yeah.
the second you brought up the reverse centaur, that's all I've seen, like on Reddit and fucking Facebook forums and shit. It's fucking haunting me.
That's great. Yeah, so Solasta 2. I'm sure Dan has watched the trailer 7 or 8 times by now.
that
Yeah.
many times, just mostly that many times. Yeah, it looks good. There's I tuned into the developers Twitch stream on Friday when they ran it, and they answered some questions. A lot of people's questions were like, "Are you guys doing 2014 or 2024?" And they're like, "Well, we built it using 2014 SRD, but if 2024 SRD comes out before we release it, we may adapt it." They were non-committal at best.
They should be.
But
That's a
they
hard.
also said that they've already made a lot of improvements to the subclasses, kind of balanced a bunch more things. And I don't know. They didn't really talk too much about the game itself. It was more like, well, how's the support going to be for it? Can people still mod it? Can people still make maps? And all of that was yes. And they're like, we also just got rid of our message board community just because we had to basically had a dedicated moderator to get rid of the 10,000 bots that would spam BS on it every day. So if you need to find us, just find us on Reddit. So yeah,
Yeah.
not much information on it yet. But I mean, if it's even a slight improvement over current Solasta, I mean, Solasta's great.
Yeah, we put a lot of hours into Solasta. Let's see.
Yeah, I would take an upgraded version. I hope instead of balancing or tweaking the existing subclasses, I would really like to see them do new things for this game, like give us new
Yeah.
subclasses and
Well,
options.
that's what they did with Solasta. Like they had one subclass that was actually a legit 5e subclass, and then all the other subclasses were their own creations.
Yeah, well, they had to
Yeah,
because
that's
all
what-
they had access to was the SRD.
Right. Yeah.
yeah, and that's what I mean. I would. It's that's instead of seeing the same ones from the first game, give me 3 new subclasses for new things of your own creation
Mm-hmm.
for this new game. I would rather not just play the same subclasses I've already played or used in the first game.
Sure.
Right.
Yeah. Yeah, and I would absolutely love to see that. So the trailer, the thing that was released was a short little video clip of some NPC raising an army attacking some other city, and then you got to see some little clips of gameplay footage. The gameplay is much prettier than Solasta 1 is. So
It definitely was.
that's a
I saw
good
the
thing.
little burning hands.
Yeah.
Better spell effects.
Yes, better spell effects. I would assume that they have a much higher budget this time around, since Solasta 1, I'm pretty sure, sold a lot.
Yeah.
Well,
Yeah.
that and they didn't really turn over their team like a standard development company does.
Yeah, that too. Yep.
So
They
their
kept it
team,
small.
yeah, their team is the same team-ish, and they're going off their learned experience. So they're gonna make a better game just because of that.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think so. Solasta 1 came about from a Kickstarter campaign back when you could still kickstart video games, and I think the Kickstarter campaign was like just a little over, like maybe like $1.25 million.
hmm
So they made it on kind of a shoestring budget from the Kickstarter plus early access sales.
Yep.
And then they sold really well. Once released, they made the DLC that also sold enough to do an expansion, which apparently sold pretty decently. So
yeah, it had the benefit of coming out. I think the game released in 2020.
Mm-hmm.
So it came out during COVID, if I recall correctly, or right in that kind of time period.
Yeah,
So,
and that lull before Baldur's Gate 3 appeared on the scene.
right. So, it's a D&D game, and D&D at that time was hot as hell. Then Baldur's Gate 3 does come out, and I know it got more sales because of that, because when people finish Baldur's Gate, they're looking for more D&D stuff.
Yep.
Absolutely.
Yeah,
So-
I will hope. Like Solasta benefited from it had very it was very D&D heavy in that if you enjoyed D&D, it was probably on yours. It doesn't have that same sort of it did not have the kind of story and acting that it would allow people to enjoy Baldur's Gate that didn't really care about D&D.
Right.
Because if you didn't care about D&D, the story for Solasta was
Yeah, it's
probably not going to sell you.
no,
on
and
the game.
the voice acting definitely wouldn't.
Oh gosh, no. So I'm excited to see that. Though I mean, with the way they write the world, like their world building was neat.
Yeah.
So I'm excited to see with some more time to do their own thing and more money to see what they can do as far as the story and voice acting and kind of continue on with their world building. That's what I'm
And
kind of
that's
interested
where
to see where they
most of the cost comes in, is the world building and cost for recording all the lines and shit. So
yeah, and I think that's where really where they could step things up a bunch too and see a lot of improvement, where you could bring people over that aren't just D&D nerds.
Yeah. Yeah, as things get farther along, get closer, we might try to get Mizram back on here, talk to him about it.
Yeah, I remember when you guys had him on, he was real cagey about
Sure.
anything upcoming,
Yeah,
as you would expect.
Yeah, hey, we were fine with it. We still got to chat with him for a while about it, and because we were in the middle of playing Solasta when we talked to
Yeah.
him. So,
But I love that they're still committed to doing the community mods.
oh yeah, that's important. I mean, Dan's which one are you playing right now, Dan?
Against the Reptile God.
Oh, okay. So you
Against the
finished.
cult of the Reptile God. I'm sorry.
Which one did you finish recently then?
Temple
Temple of Ele-
yeah, it's Temple of Elemental Evil, but they called it Temple of Evil for copyright reasons.
Yeah, right.
Temple of Evil.
Temple of Evil. Yeah, I mean they've changed enough and kind of adapted to the Solasta world build so that you're not really have a full overlap. It's not a complete port over. Like the game I'm playing right now is actually just a first edition module written in the 1980s that it's like an introduction module. It's like a level 2 to 5 adventure. I'm already level 8 and I'm not even halfway through it. So they've
Oh my.
clearly added a ton of stuff to it. So it's not just, one little thing.
No, not a short little module. They've turned it into a video game long module.
They sure have. So, yeah.
But, I am definitely I'm really looking forward to Solasta 2 whenever it drops. Yeah, we don't have any other information besides that trailer at this point, really.
It probably won't be for a number of years. So
Yeah, I would expect a couple years probably. Maybe in 2026 we'll get it.
Maybe.
that's if the world doesn't end between now and then.
Yeah, fair. You never know. You never know. Cthulhu may show up.
Never know. I mean, there's a lot of drones going on over Northeast right now.
Yeah, well, our mutual buddy Vern had the best post about that.
Yeah, he did.
He's really into drones, and his thoughts on it were, well, if he sees a weird looking drone flying around over New Jersey, he's going to go get his drone and fly it up there to see what's going on. Then somebody else is going to fly their drone, and then someone else will fly their drone. Next thing you know, you have a meeting of drones.
So that's what's happening.
Yeah, that's exactly what's happening.
Mystery solved.
Yep. See, government, we figured it out for you. All right. Well, I don't have any other topics. Not going to talk about the reverse centaur this week. Maybe next week.
Oh, thank goodness we're avoiding that.
Yes.
We are an hour in, so we could officially stop if we want.
I think we saved everyone from the reverse centaur. Do we have anything to go over? Like any monster?
No.
Because he didn't read on the Osquip, so we got to do the Osquip research for next time.
Yeah, sorry guys. I dropped the ball on this one. I forgot. I remembered it like 5 minutes before the podcast. Just not enough time to read
the
it.
threat is if he doesn't do the Oscar next week, we get the reverse centaur, which we don't want to do.
Oh, don't tempt me. All right, we're out. Bye, Craig.
Bye, Craig.